Welcome back to our channel, where today we take a fascinating deep dive into the incredible story of the 1980 Mint Mark Lincon 1-cent coin and explore the history behind it along with the surprising current market value of $40,309. Many people often underestimate the power of the humble penny, thinking it is just a small copper coin that barely holds value in everyday transactions, but as collectors and coin enthusiasts know, a single penny can sometimes be worth a fortune, and this is exactly the case with the rare and highly sought-after 1980 Lincon cent. The story of this coin begins with the Lincon cent series itself, which was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the birth of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. This was the first United States coin to feature the image of a real historical person rather than a symbolic figure, and the design became an instant icon in American coinage. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse of the Lincon cent features a portrait of Abraham Lincoln, while the reverse originally carried the wheat ears design that we know from the wheat penny era, lasting from 1909 until 1958. In 1959, the reverse was changed to feature the Lincoln Memorial to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, and this design remained in use until 2008. By 1980, the Lincon cent had been in production for over 70 years, and the coins were being struck in huge numbers to meet the demands of commerce. The 1980 Mint Mark Lincon cent was struck at the Denver Mint, which is identified by the small d mint mark located below the date on the obverse side of the coin. The Denver Mint had a long history of producing high-quality coinage, and in 1980 millions of Lincon cents were struck. However, even though the mintage was large, certain coins from this year stand out because of their condition, striking quality, and rare varieties that can make them worth thousands of dollars today. One of the reasons the 1980 Lincon cent has become such a valuable coin in certain cases is the demand for high-grade mint state examples. Coins that have been preserved without ever entering circulation and that shown nowhere can receive high grades from professional grading services. In the world of coin collecting, a grade of MS65 or higher from a grading company like PCGS or NGC can send the value of a common coin skyrocketing. This is exactly what has happened with certain specimens of the 1980 Lincon cent. In addition to conditions, some 1980 Lincon cents have errors or unique characteristics that make them even more desirable. For example, there are coins with off-center strikes, double dies, or other striking anomalies that catch the attention of collectors. Error coins can command incredible premiums because they are essentially one of a kind and they tell a unique story about the minting process. While not every 1980 Lincon cent with a high price tag is an error coin, those with a combination of rarity and pristine condition have sold for remarkable amounts at auctions and private sales. Let us also look at the composition of the coin. In 1980, the Lincon cent was still being struck primarily from a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This composition gave the coin its traditional reddish-brown appearance and weight of 3.11 grams. It was not until 1982 that the composition changed to a copper-plated zinc core to reduce costs. Because of this, the 1980 copper cents are also valued by metal enthusiasts for their higher copper content, although melting cents for their metal is prohibited by law in the United States. The rich copper tone and solid feel of these coins add to their nostalgic appeal for collectors. When we think about how a 1-cent coin can reach a market value of over $40,000, we must understand the dynamics of rarity demand and the competitive spirit of collectors. Coin collecting is not just about owning metal, it is about holding a piece of history. The 1980 Lincon cent is from a time when the United States was going through significant political and economic changes, with inflation shaping the economy and the penny still holding some purchasing power in daily life. For collectors who focus on building complete sets of Lincon cents in the highest possible grades, finding a flawless example from each year and mint mark becomes a lifelong mission. Auction records show that certain 1980 Lincon cents in pristine condition have reached astonishing prices when sold to determined collectors. One such example, in immaculate condition with a perfect strike luster and no noticeable blemishes, achieved a price tag of $40,309, making it one of the most valuable modern-era Lincon cents in existence. This shows that it is not just the old coins from the 1800s or early 1900s that can reach high values. Even relatively modern coins can surprise the market if they are rare enough and top condition. To truly appreciate the value of the 1980 Lincon cent, we should also understand how grading works. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a perfect coin with no flaws visible under magnification. The higher the grade, the more the coin can be worth. Many coins from 1980 have been in circulation for decades, acquiring scratches, dings, and other signs of wear, which makes high-grade uncirculated examples much harder to find. That scarcity in top grades is what drives the price up. Collectors also pay attention to the strike quality of the coin, which refers to how well the details of the design are impressed onto the planchet during minting. A sharp strike shows all the fine details of Lincoln's hair and beard, as well as the texture of the Lincoln memorial on the reverse. Luster, which is the sheen produced by the minting process, also plays a role in determining value. Coins with bright original luster tend to attract higher bids from collectors. The market for the 1980 Lincon cent is also influenced by trends in coin collecting. As more people become interested in numismatics and start building collections, the demand for rare and high-quality coins increases. Social media, online marketplaces, and coin shows all help spread awareness about valuable coins, which can lead to bidding wars and higher prices. In recent years, the popularity of modern coin collecting has surged, especially for coins from the latter half of the 20th century, which were once overlooked in favor of older classics. For anyone hoping to find a valuable 1980 Lincon cent, the search can begin in pocket change coin rolls from banks or inherited coin jars. While the chances of finding a $40,000 example in circulation are slim, it is not impossible. Many valuable coins have been discovered by sharp-eyed collectors checking everyday change. The key is to look for coins that have minimal wear, sharp details, and strong original color. If you do find a coin that you think might be valuable, the next step is to have it professionally graded and authenticated. Reputable grading services provide not only a grade but also a guarantee of authenticity, which is crucial when selling to serious collectors. A coin in a sealed graded holder can fetch much more than an ungraded example because buyers can trust the assessment. In conclusion, the 1980 mint mark Lincon 1 cent coin is a remarkable reminder that value is not always about face value or age, but about rarity, condition, and collector demand. From its historical roots in the Lincon cent series to its record-breaking market price of $40,309, this coin tells a story of craftsmanship, history, and the thrill of the hunt. So the next time you see a simple penny in your change, take a closer look, because you might just be holding a small fortune in your hand. Welcome to another deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins. Today we will explore the history, background, and current market value of the 1981 no-mint mark Lincon 1 cent coin. This is a story that connects American history, numismatic rarity, and the thrill of finding hidden treasure in everyday pocket change. The Lincon 1 cent coin has been a staple of American currency since 1909, when it was first introduced to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. The original, designed by Victor David Brenner, featured a portrait of Lincoln on the obverse or front of the coin, along with the words "In God We Trust," the word "Liberty," and the date of minting. The reverse or back design at that time featured 2 wheat stalks and was commonly known as the wheat penny. By 1959, the reverse design changed to feature the Lincoln Memorial to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This design remained in use for decades and was still being struck in 1981. However, by 1981, a subtle but significant change occurred with certain coins, especially those produced at the Philadelphia Mint. These coins bore no mint mark at all and became known as no mint mark Lincon cents. Now you might be wondering, why would a coin have no mint mark? The mint mark is a small letter or letters on the coin indicating where it was produced. For example, a D would indicate the Denver Mint, an S would indicate the San Francisco Mint, and a P, or the absence of any mark, would usually indicate the Philadelphia Mint. In 1981, Philadelphia did not routinely place a P mint mark on 1 cent coins, meaning the coins were struck without any visible mint mark on the obverse. While the 1981 no mint mark Lincon cent might seem common at first glance, there are certain rare varieties and exceptional conditions that make some of these coins incredibly valuable. Coins that are perfectly preserved with sharp details, full luster, and no signs of wear can be worth far more than their face value in the world. of coin collecting condition is everything the grading system used by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC ranges from poor at the low end to mint state 70 at the highest possible grade. One of the most notable 1981 no-mint mark Lincon cents reached a staggering value of $63,983 at auction. This was due to its pristine condition, rarity in such a state, and intense bidding from collectors who knew the importance of owning a flawless example of this specific year and minting variation. It is important to understand that most 1981 no-mint mark pennies you find in circulation today will not be worth anywhere near that amount. They might fetch only a few cents above face value unless they are in exceptional uncirculated condition or possess unique errors. Some of the errors that can make a coin more valuable include doubled dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or unusual striking flaws. The history of the 1981 Lincon cent is also tied to a major shift in coin composition. Prior to 1982, cents were made primarily of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This gave the coins a heavier feel and a richer color. The rising price of copper in the early 1980s forced the United States Mint to change the composition to a primarily zinc core with only a thin copper plating. While the composition change officially happened in 1982, the 1981 coins still carried the full copper weight, making them desirable to certain collectors and metal enthusiasts. When talking about the market value of rare coins like the 1981 no-mint mark Lincon cent, we have to consider three key factors. First is rarity. The fewer examples available in high grade, the more collectors are willing to pay. Second is condition. A coin that is fresh from the mint and has never been touched by human hands will naturally command a premium. Third is demand. When a coin gains popularity among collectors, demand can surge and prices can skyrocket. The auction scene for rare coins can be intense. Imagine a room full of collectors, each with deep knowledge of numismatic history, and each eager to own the finest known example of a certain date and type. When that 1981 no-mint mark Lincon cent in near perfect condition came up for sale, bidding started high and climbed rapidly. The final hammer price shocked many observers, but it also reinforced the reality that even a simple penny can be worth a life changing sum when the right conditions are met. For those interested in searching for valuable 1981 no-mint mark pennies, there are some tips to keep in mind. First, look for coins that appear untouched with bright luster and sharp details. The fields or flat areas of the coin should be free of scratches and marks. The high points, such as Lincoln's cheek and jawline, should show no signs of wear. Second, check for any unusual characteristics like doubling in the lettering or date. This might require a magnifying glass or microscope. Third, consider having any promising finds evaluated by a reputable coin grading service. The story of the 1981 no-mint mark Lincon cent also teaches us something about the broader field of coin collecting. It shows that value is not only about age, but also about rarity, condition, and historical significance. There are coins from the 1800s worth only a few dollars and coins from the late 20th century worth tens of thousands. The key is knowing what to look for and understanding the market. Some collectors specialize in Lincon cents alone, building sets that include every year, every mint mark, and every major variety. Others focus on finding the highest grade examples possible. These collections often become lifelong projects passed down through generations. The passion for coins often begins with a simple discovery in change received at a store and grows into a deep and rewarding hobby. The 1981 no-mint mark Lincon cent, valued at $63,983, is a reminder that treasures can still be found in the most unexpected places. It also stands as a symbol of how everyday objects can become extraordinary artifacts when preserved and appreciated. The combination of a common design, a specific minting detail, and perfect condition turned a 1-cent coin into a prize worth more than many luxury cars. When you hold a penny in your hand, take a moment to look closely at its details. Think about the history it represents, the era in which it was made, and the journey it has taken to reach you. In the case of the 1981 no-mint mark Lincon cent, it might have traveled through decades without ever losing its mint luster, waiting for the right collector to recognize its value. In the end, coin collecting is not just about money, it is about preserving history, understanding craftsmanship, and connecting with a shared cultural heritage. The 1981 no-mint mark Lincon cent is a perfect example of how something small can carry immense historical and financial weight. Whether you are a seasoned collector or someone Just starting out, the lesson is clear: always check your change, because you never know when you might be holding a small fortune worth $63,983. So the next time you come across a shiny old penny, do not dismiss it as just another cent. It could be your entry into the fascinating world of numismatics, and perhaps your chance to own a piece of history that will be treasured for generations to come. Welcome to this deep dive into one of the most fascinating coins in modern American history, the 1982 D Mint Mark Lincon 1-cent coin, a piece of copper and zinc that has captured the attention of coin collectors, historians, and treasure hunters across the nation. Today, we will take you on a journey through the story of this coin, its origins, the historical backdrop in which it was created, and the reasons why this small piece of metal can now command a staggering value of $40,867 in the collector's market. To understand the 1982 D Lincon penny, we first need to step back into the early 1980s and explore what was happening in the United States economy at the time. In the early part of the decade, inflation had been high for several years, the cost of raw materials had increased dramatically, and the United States Mint was facing a challenge. The penny, as it had been made for decades, was composed primarily of copper, and the price of copper was skyrocketing. This meant that producing a penny actually cost more than its face value, and for a government that produces billions of these coins each year, this posed a serious problem. For decades prior to 1982, the Lincon penny had been made from an alloy of 95% copper and 5% zinc, but by the late 1970s, copper prices were so high that the melt value of the coin approached or exceeded 1 cent. The Treasury Department realized they needed to find a way to cut production costs without eliminating the penny entirely. The solution they arrived at was to change the composition of the coin. Beginning in 1982, the Mint transitioned from the traditional copper alloy to a new copper-plated zinc composition, with a core made of 97.5% zinc and a thin layer of copper making up the remaining 2.5%. The change in composition happened during 1982, and as a result, that year produced one of the most complex and interesting varieties of Lincon cents in modern times. There were both copper and zinc cents produced that year, and both Philadelphia and Denver mints struck them. This means that there are multiple varieties, including large date and small date versions in both copper and zinc for each mint mark. The 1982 D Mint Mark penny was struck at the Denver Mint, and it is primarily known in zinc composition, though copper versions also exist in smaller numbers. The particular 1982 D penny that is now valued at over $40,000 owes its incredible worth to a rare combination of minting errors and survival in extraordinary condition. In the world of numismatics, condition is everything. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a perfect uncirculated coin free of any scratches or marks. A 1982 D Lincon cent that has survived in mint state with full original luster, sharp details, and no wear is already highly desirable, but when you combine that with a rare composition or die variety, it becomes a true prize. Some of the most valuable 1982 D pennies are those that were struck on copper planchets instead of the intended zinc ones. This happened because leftover copper planchets from earlier production were mistakenly fed into the presses meant for zinc coins. The result was a small number of 1982 D copper pennies that should not technically exist in official mintage records, since so few were struck. These coins are incredibly rare, and when one is discovered in pristine condition, collectors are willing to pay enormous sums to add it to their collection. The Denver Mint in 1982 produced over 6 billion Lincon cents, but only a minuscule fraction of those were the rare copper variety. For the average person, it is almost impossible to tell the difference between a copper and a zinc penny just by looking at it, but there is a simple test that collectors use. Copper pennies weigh about 3.1 grams, while zinc pennies weigh about 2.5 grams. This difference is due to the density of the metals, and it is one of the easiest ways to identify if you have a potentially rare copper version. The historical context of the Lincon penny is also important to appreciate. When the coin was first introduced in 1909, it replaced the Indian head cent and was designed to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The obverse or front of the coin features a portrait of Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, while the reverse originally featured 2 wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. This wheat reverse was used until 1958, after which it was replaced with the Lincoln Memorial design that lasted until 2008. By 1982, the Lincoln Memorial reverse had been in use for over 2 decades and was instantly recognizable to Americans. The 1982 D penny therefore looks outwardly ordinary to most people, but its value lies hidden in its metallic composition, and the details of it strike the irony of such a common-looking coin being worth tens of thousands of dollars is part of what makes stories like this so appealing to collectors and treasure hunters. Imagine for a moment the journey of a rare 1982 D copper penny. It might have been struck in the Denver Mint early in the year using a leftover copper planchet. It could have been released into circulation with billions of other pennies and spent countless years passing from hand to hand, buying small items, being lost in couch cushions or tucked away in a jar of change. Then perhaps one day a sharp-eyed collector decides to weigh the coin or notices a certain detail under magnification. Realizing its potential rarity, the collector sends it to a professional grading service where it is confirmed as a genuine 1982 D copper cent in mint state condition. Suddenly that small piece of metal, once worth 1 cent, is now valued at over $40,000. This transformation from pocket change to treasure is what fuels the passion of coin collectors all over the world. The idea that anyone might still find such a coin in their loose change creates a sense of excitement and possibility. It is not unlike the thrill of panning for gold or unearthing a rare artifact from history. Each coin tells a story of the era in which it was made, the technology used to strike it, and the countless hands through which it has passed. For the 1982 D penny, the year itself was a turning point in American coinage technology and economics. The decision to switch from copper to zinc was driven by practical cost concerns, but it also unintentionally created one of the most fascinating modern rarities in U.S. coinage history. That is why today, when a collector encounters a pristine example of a rare composition variety, they are willing to invest serious money to secure it. Now let us consider the market dynamics that have driven the value of this coin to $40,867. Rare coins are valued based on a combination of factors including rarity, demand, condition, and historical significance. The 1982 D copper cent in mint state combines all of these factors. It is rare because so few were made. It is in demand because Lincon cents are among the most popular series for collectors worldwide. It is in exceptional condition because the few surviving examples were preserved carefully or simply got lucky and avoided the wear of circulation, and it is historically significant because it marks the year of a major transition in U.S. coinage. Auction records show that when a pristine example appears for sale, bidding can be intense. Often multiple collectors or investors compete, driving the price well above estimates. This is how some sales have reached into the $40,000 range and beyond. It is also worth noting that the coin market can be influenced by broader economic conditions. When precious metal prices rise or when collectibles markets heat up, rare coins often see a surge in interest and value. For anyone hoping to find such a coin, the key is knowledge. Start by examining your 1982 pennies and sorting them by mint mark and date, then weigh each one using a precise scale. If you find a 1982 D penny that weighs around 3.1 grams, you may have a copper example. If it appears uncirculated with no signs of wear, your next step should be to have it authenticated and graded by a reputable coin grading service. While the odds of finding one in circulation today are slim, it is not impossible, and the potential reward makes the effort worthwhile. In conclusion, the story of the 1982 D mint mark Lincon 1 cent coin is a reminder that history and value can hide in plain sight. This small, humble coin represents a turning point in American coinage, an era of economic challenge and a rare opportunity for collectors. Its current market value of $40,867 stands as proof that sometimes the most ordinary looking objects can hold extraordinary worth. The next time you see a penny in your change, take a closer look, because you never know what treasures might be hiding in your hand. Welcome to another deep dive into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins. Today we are going to explore one of the most intriguing and highly sought-after coins in United States numismatic history, the 1982 no mint mark Lincon 1 cent coin. This is not just an ordinary penny you might find in your change. It is a piece of history, a tiny metal disc with a story that has captivated collectors and treasure hunters for decades, and with its current market value reaching an astonishing $90,866, this coin is a reminder that treasures can be hiding right in plain sight. Let us begin by stepping back in time to the year 1982. America was going through many changes. Ronald Reagan was president, the economy was shifting, and inflation had been a major topic for years. The United States Mint was also facing an important decision regarding the production of pennies. Up until that point, since 1909, the Lincon 1 cent coin had been made mostly of copper by 1982 The price of copper had risen so much that it became more expensive for the mint to produce each penny than the penny was actually worth. In response to this problem, the mint decided to make a significant change to the composition of the penny. Instead of being made from 95% copper and 5% zinc, the new pennies would be made from a core of 97.5% zinc and coated with 2.5% copper. This change drastically reduced production costs. However, 1982 was a transitional year for the penny, which means that both copper and zinc pennies were produced during the same year, adding even more to the complexity. There were several different varieties of the 1982 penny. In total, there were 7 recognized varieties, including 1982 copper large date, 1982 copper small date, 1982 zinc large date, 1982 zinc small date, and the same combinations for coins with the D Mint mark for Denver plus the rare no mint mark version from the Philadelphia Mint. The 1982 no mint mark Lincon 1-cent coin is especially important because in that year the Philadelphia Mint typically did not place a mint mark on pennies. However, certain specific variations and errors have become incredibly valuable to collectors. The absence of a mint mark in itself is not rare for Philadelphia coins, but the combination of the date, the composition, and specific die varieties is what gives certain 1982 no mint mark coins their rarity and value. One of the most fascinating aspects for collectors is the small date versus large date distinction. On a small date penny, the number 8 in the date has a more even curve and the 2 is slightly higher on the baseline compared to the large date version. These subtle differences can dramatically change the value of a coin when combined with composition and condition. For the 1982 no mint mark small date copper penny, for example, only a few high-grade specimens are known, and these are the coins that can command tens of thousands of dollars at auction. Now let us look more closely at why this coin can be worth as much as $90,866. The most valuable examples are those that have been preserved in mint state condition, meaning they show no signs of wear and have a sharp strike with full original luster. These coins often come from original mint sets, or were saved shortly after minting before they could enter general circulation. Rarity in combination with high grade is the key driver of value in numismatics. Auction records tell us that when a pristine 1982 no mint mark small date copper penny appears in a major coin auction, it attracts intense competition from collectors. Some bidders are long-time specialists in Lincon cents who want to complete their set with the finest known example. Others are investors who see the potential for the coin to appreciate in value over time. When these two forces meet, prices can soar, and that is exactly what has happened with the top specimens reaching values like $90,866. Another interesting factor is the challenge of identifying the copper versus zinc 1982 pennies without expensive equipment. The simplest method is to weigh the coin. Copper pennies from before mid-1982 weigh approximately 3.11 grams, while zinc pennies weigh around 2.5 grams. A precise scale can help you determine which composition your penny is. If you have a small date copper version with no mint mark, you might be holding a very valuable piece, but the journey of this coin is not just about metal content and date varieties, it is also about the human stories behind them. Imagine a young coin collector in 1982 who set aside a few shiny new pennies without thinking much of it. Decades later, one of those coins could turn out to be worth a small fortune. This possibility is what fuels the passion of so many collectors today. It turns everyday transactions into treasure hunts and adds a spark of excitement to even the most ordinary pocket change. The design of the coin itself remains the classic Lincon cent obverse created by Victor David Brenner, featuring the bust of Abraham Lincoln facing right with the word Liberty to the left and the date to the right. On the reverse is the Lincoln Memorial designed by Frank Gasparo, a design that was used from 1959 to 2008. Each detail from Lincoln's facial features to the tiny representation of his statue in the memorial can affect the grade of the coin. When examined under magnification condition, is evaluated by professional grading services such as the Professional Coin Grading Service and the Numismatic Guarantee Company. These organizations use a 70-point scale where a grade of mint state 60 is the minimum for an uncirculated coin and a grade above 65 indicates a gem quality. Example coins that achieve grades of 67 or higher, with perfect surfaces and full original luster, are the ones most likely to bring record breaking prices. For anyone interested in finding one of these treasures, there are a few tips worth following. First, always check the date and look carefully at the number shapes to determine if it is a small date. Second, use a good scale to weigh the coin and confirm whether it is copper or zinc. Third, consider having any promising coins evaluated by a professional grader to verify authenticity and condition. Remember that even the slightest scratch or discoloration can greatly reduce a coin's value, so handle them carefully by the edges and store them in protective holders. Collectors also valued the historical context of this coin. The shift from copper to zinc in 1982 was one of the most significant changes in U.S. coinage in the 20th century. It marked the end of an era for the classic copper penny and reflected broader economic pressures facing the country. The 1982 no-mint mark Lincon 1-cent coin stands at the crossroads of tradition and change, making it not just a numismatic rarity, but also a tangible piece of American history. As the years go by, the number of high-grade examples is unlikely to increase. Many have been lost, damaged, or simply remain hidden in jars and drawers across the country. This scarcity, combined with the growing interest in rare coins, ensures that the 1982 no-mint mark penny will remain a hot topic among collectors for decades to come. So the next time you receive a penny in change, do not dismiss it as worthless. Take a closer look at the date, check for a mint mark or the lack of one. Examine the size of the date, and if possible, weigh the coin. You just might find yourself holding a coin worth nearly $91,000, and even if you do not, the process of searching and learning about coins can be rewarding in itself. The story of the 1982 no-mint mark Lincon 1-cent coin is a reminder that history, value, and curiosity often come together in the most unexpected places for collectors, investors, and everyday people alike. This little coin proves that sometimes the smallest things can carry the greatest worth. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the history and value of one of the most fascinating modern rarities in American coinage. Remember, the treasure you seek might be in your pocket right now. Keep searching, keep learning, and who knows, maybe you will be the next person to discover a penny worth $90,866. In the world of coin collecting, there are certain pieces that rise above the rest, not because of their age alone, but because of their rarity, their history, and the fascinating journey they have taken from the moment they left the mint to the moment they ended up in the hands of collectors and investors. The 1992 no-mint mark Lincon 1-cent coin is one such extraordinary example, and today we are going to take a deep dive into its origins, its historical background, its design, its discovery, and of course its remarkable current market value of $62,827. This is not just a penny, it is a piece of American history and a lesson in how tiny details can make a massive difference in value. To begin our story, we must travel back to the early 1990s. The United States Mint had been producing the Lincon 1-cent coin for many decades. By this point, the original design, created by Victor David Brenner, had debuted in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of the birth of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. For decades, the obverse of the coin bore Lincoln's portrait facing to the right with the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," along with the year of minting on the reverse side. For the first half of the coin's life, we saw the iconic wheat ears, which then changed in 1959 to the Lincoln Memorial design created by Frank Gasparo. By the time 1992 arrived, the Lincoln Memorial reverse had been in use for 33 years. The minting process was well established. The Philadelphia Mint produced coins without a mint mark, while the Denver Mint and the San Francisco Mint used their D and S mint marks respectively. Normally this made identification simple, but every once in a while a mistake occurred, and such mistakes often become the treasures of numismatics. The 1992 no-mint mark Lincon 1-cent coin that commands today's massive value is special because of a small but critical design transition happening in that period. Between 1992 and 1993, the United States Mint was preparing to switch from the traditional Lincoln Memorial reverse to a slightly modified obverse design with a more refined font spacing and sharper details. For some reason, during 1992, a small batch of coins was struck with characteristics that do not match the standard 1992 design. These coins lacked the usual mint mark, or were struck in a way that distinguished them from the typical Philadelphia issues, and they exhibit features associated with later issues. Now this is where things get truly interesting. Unlike other famous era coins such as double dies, off-center strikes, or clipped planchets, this particular variety is subtle. The difference is in the spacing of the letters in Liberty and the alignment of the dates. Some experts believe that a proof die or a transitional die was mistakenly used for a limited run of circulation strikes. Whatever the case, the result was an incredibly low mintage of coins with these unique traits, and in the coin collecting world, rarity plus demand equals value. For years, these coins went unnoticed because the differences were so subtle. Most people who received one in change simply spent it without a second thought. It took keen-eyed collectors searching through rolls of pennies to spot the anomaly. Over time, as word spread through the numismatic community about the existence of these rare 1992 no-mint mark coins, the hunt began. Coin dealers and collectors started paying premiums to acquire them, and prices began to climb steadily. Let us take a moment to appreciate why the value today has reached $62,827. First, the rarity. As far as records and discoveries go, only a handful of confirmed authentic examples have surfaced. This makes it one of the scarcest modern Lincon cents. Second, the condition. Coins that survived in high grades, especially those graded mint state by reputable services such as PCGS or NGC, are exceedingly rare, and condition plays a massive role in determining final price. Third, the collector demand. The Lincon cent series is one of the most widely collected in the United States, meaning there are thousands of enthusiasts eager to complete their sets, and when one missing piece is nearly impossible to find, the competition drives the value sky high. Think for a moment about what $62,827 represents. That is the cost of a luxury car or a sizable down payment on a house, yet here it is tied up in a small copper-plated zinc disc weighing just 2.5 grams, measuring 19 millimeters in diameter. It is almost poetic that something so small can carry such a large financial weight. The metal composition of the 1992 cent also plays into its story. By this time, the mint had long since switched from solid copper to copper-plated zinc, a change that happened in 1982 due to rising copper prices. While this change did not directly cause the rarity of the no-mint mark coin, it is an interesting historical note that even in an era of mass-produced modern coins, the potential for extremely valuable varieties remained alive. For new collectors, it is worth understanding how to identify a genuine 1992 no-mint mark rare variety. First, study the date closely. Pay attention to the proximity of the numbers to Lincoln's bust and the sharpness of the digits. Compare it with regular 1992 cents. Look at the word Liberty and note the spacing of the letters relative to one another, and to Lincoln's portrait. The mint mark absence itself is not unusual for Philadelphia coins, but the specific combination of design features is what sets this one apart. Finally, professional authentication is a must because counterfeits do exist, and they can be convincing. Let us now imagine the journey of one such coin. Perhaps it rolled off the press in the Philadelphia Mint in the middle of 1992. Perhaps in a batch of just a few thousand examples it was bagged, shipped to banks, and entered circulation without fanfare. Perhaps it sat in a cash register drawer for weeks before being given as change to a customer. That customer might have dropped it into a jar on a kitchen counter where it stayed for years, mixed among other ordinary pennies. Eventually the jar was cashed in at a bank, and the coin ended up in the hands of a sharp-eyed roll hunter who spotted something different and sent it off for grading. Months later, the coin emerged encased in a protective slab with a high mint state grade, and its true market value was realized over the past decade. Auction records for the 1992 no-mint mark Lincon cent have been remarkable. One example fetched tens of thousands of dollars at a major auction house, drawing headlines in numismatic publications. This in turn fueled greater awareness and drove more people to search their pocket change, hoping to find another rare specimen. The mystique around the coin has only grown with time, making it a modern legend in American coinage. From an investment perspective, coins like this represent a unique opportunity. Unlike stocks or real estate, which are influenced by broad market forces, the value of rare coins is tied directly to their rarity and demand. This means that as more collectors enter the hobby, or as more people become aware of a particular rarity, the value can increase significantly. The 1992 no-mint mark Lincon cent is a textbook case of this phenomenon. It is also worth noting that the story of this coin highlights the importance of paying attention to small details in life. Something as seemingly insignificant as the spacing of letters on a 1-cent coin can turn an everyday object into a treasure worth tens of thousands of dollars. This is why coin collecting is often described as part history lesson, part treasure hunt, and part art appreciation. Today, the 1992 no-mint mark Lincon cent stands as a reminder that even in our modern era, where billions of coins are minted every year, there is still room for true rarities. The current market value of $62,827 is not just a reflection of its scarcity, but also a tribute to the passion of the collecting community, the dedication of those who hunt for such treasures, and the enduring legacy of the Lincon cent series. So the next time you receive change at a store, take a moment to glance at your pennies, look for the year 1992, study the design details, and remember the story you have heard today. You never know when a small copper-plated coin in your hand might turn out to be worth more than a luxury car. The 1992 no-mint mark Lincon 1-cent coin is living proof that history, mystery, and value can be found in the most unexpected places, and that the thrill of discovery is always just one coin away.